podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast, and we're going to be touching one of the biggest stories right now, which is Victor Gyökeres. Again, there is new information from Portugal from the same output, Leon Input, confirming that Arsenal are really, in agreement with, Sporting Lisbon on a fee for Victor Gyökeres. It is not the 100 million euro release clause for the player, but there is a fee that has been agreed, and they're also saying that Victor Gyökeres is set to be Arsenal's first signing. However, Fabrizio Romano says that Arsenal right now are not really working on incomings, as they're looking to do some outgoings first. Glenn, how are you doing? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's going crazy. Like I was looking for a certain way. It's blowing up. Basically, it's a lot happening, and a lot of people get frustrated. A lot of people enjoy listening to all the links. For me, I'm looking at it as a positive way. 2 years ago, it never been linked to players like Cossy and players like that, but now we actually in the races to sign these players. And as I just said on my video, like if you're not comfortable in terms of all the links and stuff, it's just better to take a break and then come back late, and then they'll definitely be done deals for sure. That is for sure. Definitely going to sign players.
Yeah, so definitely. Lots of stories today. I want us to start off with the Gyökeres one because it's the one that has been broken within the last 1 hour. Now, again, it's the same source that broke the story yesterday, Leon Input, saying Arsenal are about to secure the signing of Sporting CP striker Victor Gyökeres for a fee below 100 million euros, which is his release clause. The clubs agreed on a fixed amount of 90 million euros, which may rise to up to 120 million euros after add-ons based on goals, Champions League appearances, and trophies as well. Do you think Victor Gyökeres is set to be Arsenal's first signing? Do you think there is something behind this? Or again, this is another outlet that have their sources, confirmed or unconfirmed, just publishing?
I literally do not know how to answer that question. Like, it's so crazy. They definitely know something. They definitely had something. Their source that is, in Portugal, close to the club. I do believe Arsenal want Gyökeres. I do believe Gyökeres would be happy to move on. But the issue is usually the money. If it was like 50, 60 million, any team would have wanted him. There's a reason why there's not 10 teams wanting Osimhen right now, not 10 teams wanting Gyökeres right now. Not because he's not a good striker. We looked at his numbers yesterday, and he's a very, very good striker. Now, of course, he did point out in yesterday's video that, Gyökeres, they might budge in terms of price. Personally, I didn't feel that way. I felt like, listen, they have a couple of other players they can sell. He's only been there for one season now. They wouldn't really mind to have him in a second season. Now that in the Champions League, what if he goes and scores 10 goals for them in the Champions League? That becomes 150 million. So they could say, okay, listen, in the Champions League now, let's try and retain this league. We are going. Our coaches now. The coach is still there. He decided to stay. The coach, if he had left, Amorim. That's his name?
Yeah, Amorim, yeah.
If he had decided to leave, then maybe they've said, okay, maybe you definitely leave. But he has a couple of reasons why he might want to stay. Maybe if the team doesn't want to sell him. Now, is there anything in terms of those links? I definitely do think there is. In terms of how close, that is where we can't be sure. If we end up hearing that Gyökeres is signing like in the next 3 days, I'll be very happy that it has gone, because it will mean that we were, the way the news was coming out, that no journalist that had, any confirmed sources. That means we are doing things in secret. That would actually please me more, because obviously, we usually have a lot of news in terms of daily updates on how a player is moving. Medical tomorrow, he's going to sign his papers the next day, he's going to this for the next day. This time, we've not had anything at all. And if we can do it in secret and actually finalize it without any team knowing, that would be great, because I'm sure if, as I said, if they drop it to like 70 million, you'll hear other teams would want him. So if you can do it secretly and create a package for them and tell them, listen, if he does this, you're going to add this money, and they say yes, like behind closed curtains and stuff without any team knowing, that would be great for us. So I think there's definitely something in that.
I mean, it's very difficult for us to get our hands on what Arsenal are doing right now. There's a lot of small leaks here and there, from confirmed sources, from unreliable sources, from sources that we don't know we didn't know that they existed until today or yesterday or the day before that. But I think with Victor Gyökeres, the leaks are a point of what Arsenal are trying to do. I don't think they're far away. I think it's a case of the apple doesn't fall far away from the tree, and I would expect Arsenal to either try and do this deal and fail, or try and do this deal and and succeed. Now, Fabrizio today has come out and said that Arsenal have a clear plan of what they want to do. He's the same man that came out and said Arsenal will want to bring in a striker. They have a couple of players in their list, and they're just undecided. Then he said Sesko was definitely one of those, but they still have other names in the list. Today, Fabrizio said that Arsenal are looking to fast sell as priority, as they're already confident of the plan they want to do before 2024-2025, the campaign. Do you think sales are getting in the way? Many clubs are working towards PSR and making sure that they balance the books. Do you think that selling because we've not sold yet? That's where we've not seen deals made. I mean, even David Raya, the deal you think could have been easier, agreed last year. Personal terms agreed last year. Almost everything was agreed last year. He's not signed. So sales are a problem now?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, including sales. You have to be careful in terms of not spending too much money and getting deducted points the next season. You have to be careful with that. I think it's also a combination of the international tournaments going on. The Copa America has just started. The Euros is going on, and also a combination of a lot of teams wanting a lot of money for their players also to, cover their own problems in terms of PSR. And that is putting us in tougher positions. And on top of that, we are not fighting for just top 6 or top 7 where you can be satisfied with a 20 million player. We've now gone to a level where you haven't really been for a lot of years, maybe close to 20 years, like in terms of we see like 30, 40 million pound players like, this one is not really going to improve us. We are now looking at 90 million, 100 million players, and some people don't even love those players. So we are going to a different level in terms of the players we are linked. And now that market is 90 million, 100 million. So you have to know how to negotiate. Now, in terms of selling players, I'd still expect like a player before you sell too many. Like I'd still at least one incoming and stuff, like even if it's David Raya, like confirmed. Because I do believe we have 50, 40 million summer because of the Champions League and going far, quarterfinal and all that, and finishing second back-to-back season competing for the league. I think they did say Arsenal, out of the top 6 teams, Arsenal pays the least in terms of wages. So in terms of that, we've covered ourselves well and all that. All the other teams, not just Arsenal. That's why when people say, why is Arsenal taking so much time to sign players? No, Man City have not signed anyone. Liverpool are trying to get deals done. Chelsea, in terms of Arsenal, is linked to too many players. Why is it always us? No, today alone I've seen Chelsea want 4 different players that I didn't even hear of. Like every team is trying to get deals done. Like it's probably just Madrid getting Mbappe that was in works for the last 3 years, and Chelsea getting a free signing from Fulham that has happened. There's not too many teams that are going to sign. I do believe this time it's actually going to go all the way to August, but for us, we do prefer making our signings before preseason. I do think you're going to get it done. And the players we are trying to sell, it's also a problem. And now the players we were trying to sell is even become even more of a problem because Tierney was one of them. Now
he's injured.
We're trying to sell Lokonga. We've seen another story coming up. I've just done a video about that. We've had another story coming up from that. Like we might not even get money for him. Not too many teams wanting this player. So the only players you can really sell are the likes of Nketiah and stuff. Someone like Nketiah would have expected if a team really wanted him to already come in for him by now, like final stages, we're discussing it. But all of that's a problem. Remember, players are also on holiday up until like July and stuff. So I think most business will be in July.
I think because of the financial, most of the clubs, their financial year ends June 30th. And I also think that however much we believe that Arsenal's financial year ended in May, it actually ends in June because most of the contracts Arsenal have, if you look at players like, Cossy, who's leaving, most of their contracts actually end in June 30th. So that means that our financial year ends June 30th. And it kind of explains to me why we've not done a lot of deals. It kind of explains to me why it's been a slow summer. It's been a difficult start to the summer. Maybe Arsenal are still looking to kind of get out of this financial year, enter the next financial year, and open a new slate and start from there. Remember, the last transaction Arsenal made in terms of an incoming was David Raya, right, in this financial year. No one in January. And David Raya was made on loan. And Fabrizio always was singing, waxing lyrical about that. Arsenal signed David Raya because Brentford could actually understand our financial problem. And then all of a sudden, news comes out that Arsenal tried to sign Kudus, but we couldn't afford. At the time, it was around 34 million or 40 something million for Muhammad Kudus. So maybe, and this is where the Fabrizio story makes a lot of sense. PSR and FFP are now getting a lot in the way. Clubs are really fearful. We've seen points deduction on the unfortunate clubs, the ones that probably don't have a lot of influence to the Premier League. So maybe Arsenal don't want to be in that pool just yet. So again, we wait and see what happens out of there. But it's a big story and it's a good story from Fabrizio. I want us to talk about this double deal. I've thought about it, and I thought Arsenal could actually get Onana and Xavi Simons for 50 million, because Onana definitely, if you're willing to pay 50, right, he would be 50. But Xavi Simons is actually available on a loan deal. And I was thinking about deals that Arsenal could do quickly, especially now that our fixtures are out. You think Xavi Simons and Onana would be easy deals for us to do at 50 million? Would you think that's that's like a no-brainer?
In terms of your time scale, what are you looking at? Because both of those players are at the Euros.
Yeah, I was predicting for Belgium to drop out of the Euros.
No, I think they'll go. I think they'll win tomorrow. I don't think they'll go out in the group
round
stage.
of 16. I don't think they go past round of 16. It's the Netherlands, I think, quarterfinals. I don't see them go past the quarterfinals, Netherlands.
Like, so let's say that's around like July 5th. So
yeah,
I don't mind a loan deal for Xavi Simons. PSG, I think, want to take him out on a loan deal because they don't want to pay, I think, PSV some selling clause or something. So they want to take him out on loan for the next 1 year, and then so that when they sell him, they don't have to pay any money to PSV. It's just a complicated thing with PSV and PSG. So Xavi Simons on loan, I don't mind it at all. I'd be happy with that. As I asked you, I think yesterday, if you're not getting a striker and then you get a number 10 and a winger, would I be happy with that? It's a tough one because I feel like Odegaard is going to steal my start and Saka is still a starter, but he's better than nothing, especially that kind of player. I think is very good and they can play multiple positions up front. So Xavi Simons on loan, I'd be happy, and PSG would probably be happy to take him out on loan to us as well. I don't think you have anything going on with PSG. Now for Nana, I think it would be easier for both of them to get those deals done. For Nana, Everton must sell because they have a lot of financial problems. They're trying to sort out a stadium and to buy other players. Now, Everton probably worse than all the other teams. They might literally have to sell like at least four players before they start buying players. And they're one team that definitely need players because they've done poorly the last 3-4 seasons in terms of quality. So if they do get rid of some players like Onana, then you can pounce on them. The other thing is if you want to do it early. If you're patient and you feel like, listen, they have to get 50 million for him. Nah, we know they're going to get desperate in the next couple of weeks, a month. They're going to take it down to 30 million. They're going to come back for him. So it depends on both situations. If you're patient in terms of that, if you feel like, okay, literally this position, we can wait for a month. Let's work on the other positions. Maybe the number 10 position. Let's get Xavi Simons in. Let's go and get a winger. Let's give the midfield time because they're going to drop their price and stuff. Then you can work on that. But I think in terms of getting the deals done, it's definitely way easier than the players we've been linked to in terms of 100 million and all that.
It's what I was looking at. Like when you look at Simons, I think it's about him choosing his next destination. So it's about Arsenal selling that themselves as the best destination, the best project, and basically it's a done deal. With Onana though, I think it's about. I've seen Everton have done a deal with Aston Villa. They have swapped players, but with cash. So that means that they're trying to find a way of dealing with their financial problems so that they don't get bullied on their real good price assets. But while I was looking at this too, is the beginning of the season. I'm looking at Rice and Saka. Those ones are not coming back quick. I think regardless of how bad England are, semi-finals, I see them in the semi-finals. They might get there. You never know. If they don't get a Spain, a Germany, or a good team, they'll get there somehow. Then Gabriel Martinelli, he's definitely with Brazil, they're going to advance and they will need some more time to rest. I think a couple of Arsenal players will be at the Euros for quite some time. So I'm thinking, do we need to rush a little bit into getting in some players, or you see the likes of Vieira, Emil Smith Rowe start the season in midfield?
No, I don't think they'll start in the season in midfield. Now, the thing, you're right, Saka and Rice could easily get to the semi-final and then need a break or two. The thing with those players, I'd say they will be there. They will want to play, both of them, but what kind of levels will they be at? That will be the problem. At that time, they'll still be tired. But I'm sure Rice will say, I don't even want a break. I want to play right away. I'm sure he would say that. But I do understand where you're coming from. I mean, Trossard as well. If I see Belgium in the quarterfinal or something, Belgium could, maybe Trossard could go all the way there. He might not be as tired. The likes of Ryan might not be as tired because they will be like they don't usually play every single game. So I do see what you mean. But in terms of Vieira and Smith starting the season, maybe one. I can see Vieira. I feel like Smith Rowe is going to be sold. I just have this feeling Smith Rowe is going to be sold. I don't think they're going to rush signings because we've seen the fixtures or because Rice and Saka are not going to be back as quickly as possible. I think they're going to use the ones that we have. I don't know which ones also. I think Partey, players like that. I think you're going to use players like that. Probably, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Rice and Saka in the first game. That would be a problem, probably by the middle of the season, because that will mean another summer without Saka resting a little. He's going to just straight back to the first game of the season. But yeah, maybe a couple of signings. But the signings that you're talking about have been at the Euros anyway. So if Onana progresses unless they get knocked out in the group stage as you suggested, then all of a sudden you have Onana and Trossard who are a bit fresh. Good for you. But Xavi Simons, I predicted Netherlands to win it all. So that means I'm looking at them in the final. So I do hear what you're saying. Gabriel as well on top of that could go all the way to the final. Saliba is playing tonight against France. I would expect them to, against Netherlands, expect them to go far as well in that competition for sure. So it's not too many players. If you look at Zinchenko, Ukraine have won today. Where are they going to reach as well? So it's not too many players. But the thing is, it's not just us, There's Man City players in England as well. There's other players in France and Germany. So it's not going to affect us alone. Probably most of the teams are going to be affected. And Guardiola as well has a smaller squad and all that. So you have to find a way to work with what you have, I'd say.
Yeah. Now, do you think that do you think the strategy would be or should be go for players that are not at the Euros? Like, it's very difficult to point them out, the good ones that are not at the Euros. But do you think that would be the strategy? That should be the strategy. Again, for me, if you go for players that are not at the Euros and you can find some good ones, gives you a massive advantage.
It's easier. It's easier for sure. It's tougher to predict which teams are going to go through and how far they're going to go through. A player can make a promise and say, "Okay, after the Euros, I'm going to sign for you," and then they change their mind by like after the Euros, and
the price can increase as well.
That's what I was going to add as well, and the price can increase as well if just it's one goal. Just one goal and the price has gone but 20 plus million, So I do hear what you say. Players like Gyökeres and Osimhen obviously are not at the Euros, but players are at holiday right now. Like they're going for their holidays, so it's still like July 1st when they're going to be needed back. But to hear what you're saying, it probably will be easier to go for players who are out, like in terms of, not to the Euros, and but it's so hard. That's basically, you've said no European players, then a lot of them, and no South American players, a lot of them, because they're playing those competitions. But yeah, there's not too many that would be linked to that are not at the Euros. If they're not at the Euros, they're going to go to the Olympics, like Lenior or someone like that, which is not great at all as well. So even worse. So I think it's something that is going to affect a lot of players. I'd say balance players who are not the Euros, players who are not tired during the season, and then balance with the players that are the Euros, because it's so hard, because most of the good players will be at the Euros in Copa America. If you're looking for the players who are not there, then you're looking for, which players? Estonian players, South African players. I don't know what you're looking for.
I was I'm working on a video for Max Vifer. Probably should come out one of these days. And I think like if Arsenal could tap into such kind of talent, if you look at you could raid a Brighton and Baleba, maybe you do something like someone like Baleba, Carlos Baleba. You never know, such a deal. But I'm interested to see what Arsenal are trying to do, because Fabrizio says the plan is already there for what they want to do in terms of signings for 2024, 2025, and patience is going to be needed. and also there is also nothing like panicking inside
Yeah.
Arsenal, right? It's just cool. They are calm, and they know what to do. But uh, uh, it, it- I'm starting to doubt that statement a little bit. I do trust it because of Mikel Arteta and Edu and how they've performed in previous windows. But this window, unless it is too tight, unless it's too silent and very very private, I'm starting to feel like, are they also watching the market like Chelsea? Are they becoming more of a Toddy Bolly? Are they looking at what Man United are doing? Are they looking at what maybe Madrid are saying, and things like that? But of course, we will know later on in the in the window. So, lastly, Nico Williams is a player that we've looked at. He's at the Euros, and the Athletic again today. I think they published an article on him for 2 consecutive days. Yesterday, they said that Arsenal would love to sign him, and they would love to work on a deal this month. Now, a couple of weeks ago, he signed a new deal. His release clause is still 58 million euros. What do you think about this one? Like, I've told people he's better than Martinelli and Saka, and I've got a bit of stick in the comment box below, and I really do understand why the stick is there. But for me, I still stand on my ground. If he comes in, he starts.
Wow. Probably if I didn't see that video yet, I would have been one of the people giving you stick. Now, would I take him at Arsenal? 100%. I'm not even saying I wouldn't take him at Arsenal. Definitely be a great upgrade. In terms of Saka, I don't think anyone can replace Saka at all right now. For me, those are the two: Saka, Odegaard, Saliba. I don't think anyone can take them out. He's carried us for like 4 or 5 seasons straight away. He has a lot in his CV for us to just say, okay, take him out. Like if Saka is there, we are a better team. On the left side, obviously, we are coming from a season where Martinelli did not have a great season, obviously, so it's a little bit different. But both of them have been really good. Now, in terms of competition, definitely bring in competition. Man, still have Grealish. They also brought in Doku. Probably Grealish was asking himself, oh, they signed me for 100 million and they're also bringing in Doku.
Yeah.
Foden is there. Bernardo Silva is there. Bob will be asking himself, where am I going to play? There's a lot of players in that team as well. Kovacic will probably ask himself, they're signing me, but where am I going to play? Matthias Nunes is probably asking himself, when am I going to play? So it's great to have a lot of competition in your team. You're going to be playing in the Premier League. You're going to have a week. You're probably going to play the week you're playing Tottenham and City. We could have a Champions League game in the middle there with a Barcelona or someone. We could have all those 3 teams in the same week. So you have to have a very decent squad. I don't mind Nico Williams coming in. I don't think he just comes in and then starts 38 games and Martinelli's on the bench for 38 games or Trossard is on the bench for 38 games. For me, I want to see rotation. The way the left side is the one that rotates a lot. Sometimes Trossard starts, the end of the season, Martinelli didn't play a lot, but Martinelli starts sometimes, Trossard comes on, Trossard starts sometimes, Martinelli comes on, both have impact. That is what I want to see for every single position. Maybe not for the defensively, because you need some organization there and stuff, but I want to see more rotation. If Ben White is a little bit tired, you play Tomiyasu if he's fit. If Saka is a little bit tired, Nico Williams is there to start, and it takes away a bit of pressure for Saka. I think Saka is one of those players who definitely wants to play even and hide injuries and stuff, but I'm sure he gets tired a lot. Sometimes you can see like he's been kicked around. You'd want someone else to help him. So I don't think Nico Williams will be coming in to disrupt the camp in terms of, okay, now you're on the bench, he's the one that is going to play. I think it's going to be competition, and for me, I'm looking at it like maybe Martinelli is going to look at it like, oh my goodness, I had a bad season and they're bringing in Nico Williams. I have to boost my game even more. So it's going to make him a better player. Trossard is going to increase the numbers as well. Everyone is going to play in terms of those players. It's different from the youngsters that people complain about not playing. I think for those players, Trossard will play, Havertz will play, Saka will play, Martinelli will play, all of them will play. So it's great signing. He'd be for that kind of money. I don't think he get opportunities like that too many times. In the next 2 years, it could be 100 million.
Yeah. I think if Bilbao keep him for one more season, he's in the 70s. He's already in the 70s, because the Rafinhas, by the time he went to Barcelona, already in the 60s, already in the 70 millions region. But for me, with Nico Williams, why I say he starts for Arsenal is that ability with 2 feet. And I think he's a player that Mikel will play on the right wing, and then he would switch flanks when it's not working up, and he just comes down, or switches from down to up within a game, and all of a sudden it is on for him. Williams ex Neto. Neto is a player we've discussed before, me and you. But would you think that Neto, because again he's with Portugal, do you
Careful,
think
careful, careful. If you talk about Neto too much, he might get injured.
he's again another player who's made of made of glass, made of straws, as well. But do you think if Williams doesn't want to join, if he still really dreams about Barcelona, Neto is the option?
Now, Neto is now a pure backup because my worry is you'll be okay. Neto is on the bench. Doesn't have to play too many games. Saka gets injured, and then boom, Neto is also injured, and all of a
Injured,
sudden
yeah,
you don't have anyone to play there.
yeah,
So then you're forced to play Saka every single time again. Neto, a fully fit Neto. I'm hoping for his career he can recover and stop getting the injuries. You can't keep up with him. He's very
yeah.
good. Like on the wings, he's very good. If he was cheaper, I would take him. If Neto was like, they would say like Trossard, 25 million, I would take him
I'll take him,
100%, even with the injuries. But when you start talking about 50, 60 million, when you advance to the 80, 90 million stage now with the likes of Rice, I'm looking at you to play 37 games, it was a 38. To be signed for 50 million, then you can only play 5 to 10 games. That is a worry. But if there's no one else, which I think there is in terms of cheaper players on the wing, if it's possible that I would get, then you can go for someone like a Neto. But for that money, you're looking for someone who's going to make an impact as Nico Williams would. Now, at the end of the day, we are Arsenal fans. We are not Player FC. So if Nico Williams comes in and is the best starting,
Yeah.
absolutely fine. If he's the one who's having the biggest impact, I have no problem with that. If Kive is having a better season than Gabriel and he deserves to start, well and good. We are not player fans. We are Arsenal fans. We want the best for Arsenal. So Pedro Neto, great player. He had a very good season at the beginning of the campaign. He was assisting, scoring a couple of goals. There's a game against Chelsea where he literally destroyed them. Also against Man United at their place, Molineux, he did very well against Man United. And we're like, this is an incredible player. The time we played them, and I think he missed the game. Arsenal fans are like, oh, Neto's not there. Thank goodness, You feel like that way. So defenders would be worried if they have both Neto and Saka. My problem is just the injuries, 50 million. If he didn't have the injuries, 50 million worth it. If he still has the injuries, but he's like 25 million, worth it. But combine the injuries, different injuries, as you said as well. Hamstring, twice, muscle, I think knee, and then calf. Which one do you focus on? That's the problem.
For me, I've said for even 5 million, I wouldn't take him. No. I think it's too much of a risk. It's too much of a risk. This Arsenal team, I don't know how we went with 14 players that really played throughout, because when you look at some of the injury-prone names there, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Partey. We are lucky to have a group of around 10 players or 15 players that you can trust, you can rely on, you can lean on.
That, Jesus was injured as well.
Yeah.
Nketiah picked up an injury, Jorginho picked up an injury, Saka picked up an injury, Martinelli picked up two different injuries.
And among those 14 players, we have how many? We have around 10 at the Euros. So we have players that have not rested. They have played more football, and they're playing more football next season because there are more games to be played in the UEFA Champions League.
You're going to have a squad. You're definitely going to have a squad. I think there's going to be a lot more injuries next time for every team, and it's going to be crazy. I think you have to be ready, because you could go into a game without Gabriel, Saliba, and Timber. Then you need to find a way. So I think it's going to affect everyone. It's not just us. Man City are a good team as well. They have most of their players at the Euros. What if, Ake and Stones both get injured, and then they're also scrambling to get a defender? You have to find a way. Now, the 14 players thing, Guardiola loves that as well. I think that's where I got it from. Just have a small squad. I think if we take Guardiola to Chelsea, where they had like 50 players after Tuchel sacked, they would get sick. They would get physically sick. Like they would have to sell like 40 players. So if you have I'd say for me, 18, 19 is great. Maybe train one youngster, where people think you're not going to bring in youngsters at all. I think that's what we need. That's why when people say, there's still people saying, okay, Sell Nketiah, sell Jesus, sell Vieira, sell Smith Rowe, Cedric and Elneny have gone. Okay, also sell Partey, sell Zinchenko. You have to have players on the bench. You have to have players on the bench. It's not going to be easy to sell Zinchenko and Tomias and then get two more defenders. Like unless you have like 500 million to spend, you have to keep most of those players. We can only sell like maybe three. I'd say 3 or 4 of those players.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. We will now catch up with the Euros as well. France take on Netherlands. That is the game of the day. So make sure you do catch us tomorrow. Cossy and GLEN 9 to 10. Also on his channel, GLEN Kitely, Everything Arsenal. Just type Everything on Arsenal in YouTube. You'll be able to find that channel and lots of discussions as well there. Of course, Victor Gyökeres, still stories moving around about him. We'll give you the latest there and we'll react to it as well. And of course, Xavi Simons and Onana as Arsenal look to strengthen their midfield. See you soon.